Hello, my Sedat family in Accra. Most of you are asking me, when are you holding a conference in Accra? Well, we are organizing the HR Connect conference in Accra this year, together with HR Network Africa and SHRP. So if you live in Accra or close to Accra and have been meaning to attend any of our conferences, this is your opportunity. You may have attended one conference or even two this year and are wondering, it's not the same conference. Why should I attend another conference? Well, this is not just any conference. It is a 2-day buffet of learning, networking, practical insights and tools that you can go back to your organization and start implementing immediately. We have the keynote insights, the master classes, the CEO fireside chat, the CEO conversations, HR battle pitch, C-suite connect. What excites me the most is the CEO conversations, because we get to hear from the CEOs what we need to do as HR practitioners to actually earn a seat at the table. So my dear, this conference is for you. Join us at the Labadi Beach Hotel from the 30th to the 31st of July 2026, 9 a.m. each day. The focus for this year's conference is from certification to competence. Use the details displayed on the screen to register today. I hope to see you there.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are watching us from. You are welcome to today's episode of the Sedat HR Digest, brought to you by Sedat Consult Limited, your trusted HR partner. Yes, so kindly let us know your name and your location from which you are watching us from in the comment section, and we will acknowledge it. So on today's topic, we are going to talk about HR leadership confidence. We are talking how to build the courage, clarity, and competence to lead. Yes, this is a topic you do not want to miss. So, with me, I have a very accomplished and strong woman, Madam Cynthia Maulo Kodo, with whom I'm going to discuss this topic. Again, you are welcome to today's episode. This is the Sedat HR Digest brought to you by Sedat Consult Limited. Kindly let us know your name and your location in the comment section. So, a bit about Sedat Consult Limited. Sedat Consult Limited is a human resource and organizational development firm with offices in Accra and Kumasi. So, for our services, it ranges from, but not limited to, HR support and advisory outsourcing, talent acquisition and management, staff and service outsourcing, compensation and benefits management, employee engagement, training and development, payroll outsourcing, executive search, event management, assurance services. Like I said, these are not limited. And so kindly contact us on our social media platforms or via info@sedatconsultlimited.com, and you get to know us and know more about the services we offer. As a human resource and organizational development firm, we are committed to continuous professional development. And for that reason, we are organizing the third cohort of the SEDAT mentorship program, for which we are calling on mentors and mentees alike to apply for the third cohort of the SEDAT mentorship program. This is a program we have organizing to bridge the gap between the experienced professionals and the novices. And so we are calling on you, the experienced professional, to be a mentor, and you, the inexperienced professional, the graduate, to apply for the mentee slot. We will assign you suitable mentors for whom they will advise you and guide you on your career. Again, we are also organizing the SEDAT Workplace Readiness and Certification Program. This is an online program targeting early professionals and graduates and final year students. It is going for a fee of 250 cedis for a 6 weeks course and $30 for foreigners. And so we are talking foundational, which is the level 1. We will go on to the level 2, which is advanced, and the level 3, which is emerging workplace leader. This starts on the 1st of August. It goes for a fee of 250 cedis for Ghanaians and 30 cedis for other African nationals. Yes, so I entreat you to apply for this. If you are an early career professional and a graduate or a final year student who is interested and committed to entering the workforce and the job market ready. Yes. If you are looking for a workstation, especially for our remote workers, we have such places at our office in Accra, La Paz, Nyameche specifically. Kindly contact us and you find that you get a suitable workspace, you get suitable amenities, you get a spacious car park, and an independent workstation, fast internet connection to do your work from home. We are specifically targeting uh, remote workers. We also have training rooms available at our office in Accra. And so for corporate organizations who are interested in getting training rooms for their programs, kindly contact us and we will sort you out for it. Yes. And so again, you are welcome to today's episode of the Sedat HR Digest. As I've mentioned, today we are discussing HR leadership confidence, specifically how to build the courage, clarity, and competence to lead. With me, I have Madam Maulawo Kodo Cynthia, I should say, a very strong and accomplished woman with whom I'm going to discuss this topic. And so I'll read a brief profile about her for you to know more about her. Cynthia Maulao Kodowu is a life coach, HR professional, and trainer dedicated to helping people tap into their full potential through actionable plans. She is co-founder and director of Nia Onim Foundation, founder of HR Network Africa. She is a patron of several initiatives. She is a board member for the NGO Youth for Africa and a human rights activist and member of OKF, where she supports vulnerable members of society. She brings over 20 years of professional experience spanning education, banking, social entrepreneurship, insurance, business development, furniture retailing, and hospitality. Academically, Madam Cynthia Kodowu holds an HND in marketing from Ho Technical University, a certificate in political leadership and governance from the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung Foundation of Germany, a certificate in leaders and governance from the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy in Germany, an advanced diploma in human resources from the Pan-African Leadership Institute, an advanced diploma in strategic management from ICM UK, a degree in accounting with honors from GIMPA, an MBA in project management from GIMPA, and an executive master's in leadership from the University of California's John E. Anderson Management School. She also holds a CIPD Level 5 diploma. She is a certified human resource analyst and certified human resource business partner from GAFM and is a student of SHRM and SPHR. She belongs to several professional bodies locally and internationally, including IHRMP Ghana, GAFM, W50, and Promax. She considers herself a lifelong learner, teacher, business, and strategic problem solver. Yes, so as I've mentioned, this is a very accomplished woman. I introduce Madam Cynthia Maulo Kodowu. Good afternoon, Madam Cynthia. You are welcome to today's episode of the Sedat HR Digest.
Thank you very much, Kelvin. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Yes, and so we'll get right into today's topic, HR leadership confidence. Briefly, if you could tell us what it actually means for an HR to be confident in their leadership.
Well, thank you so much, Kelvin. And it's a joy to be back on the Sedat platform because we've always done magic every time, I'm invited to Sedat. And very soon, followers of Sedat will see some fruits from my engagements right here on this platform. And we'll tell the story then, Patricia and myself. But just to dig straight into your question, which has to do with what is HR leadership. So HR leadership is completely different from general leadership, and it's in this form. HR leadership essentially has to do with an HR person's ability to influence others for the benefit of the organization or the growth of the organization. It's an HR person's ability to develop the confidence needed to be able to speak up when the time is right. It's your ability to defend what is right in the organization, your ability to know when to draw the line. So essentially, when we say that HR is acting as a leader, it means that HR has understood the purpose of being a strategic partner of the business and making sure that it can come forward and do right by both the business and the people that have been entrusted into HR's care.
So when we talk about leadership confidence, is it the same as confidence in its sense, like regular confidence, or there is a difference between confidence and leadership confidence.
There's a very significant difference between having confidence and having HR leadership confidence. Now, essentially, we have a lot of friends who, at any given point in time, they can hit their chest and show up and all of that. But you would always be able to tell a significant difference between the individuals based on what it is they bring to the fore. Now, for you to say that you are displaying HR confidence or you are displaying leadership confidence, it means that whatever you are fighting for, whatever you are saying, is substance based. It means that you have a certain level of competence that you are speaking to. Otherwise, then you're having what I call the holo holo effect, where you're showing up, you're the loudest mouth, but at the time you're done with whatever it is you're saying, we're like, but hold on, what was he trying to say? What was all that about? Like, that kind of thing. So basically, when we're saying that a leader needs to show a certain level of confidence, then we're trying to associate confidence with the portion around competence. So here we're driving more towards competence coming from repetitive things that you do that brings excellence and effectiveness into whatever you're doing, and making sure that you also provide evidence to that effect. And so basically, that's what we try to look at when we're talking about just being confident in your own right and then actually being a confident leader or a confident HR leader.
Yes. So about competence and confidence, I think many HR professionals feel this confidence when they are handling their daily routine and processes. But when it is time to show up in the boardroom, they most often than not lose their nerves. How does this happen and why does it happen so often?
Yeah. So as I said to you, the only time you can actually say that you're truly confident in terms of competence is when you have substance to speak to. Now, having been an HR for so many years and having had the opportunity to sit at the C level as well, there's one significant thing which makes the difference between an HR strategic leader and just an HR person. And this comes from what's the substance in you. I keep saying, what's the substance in you? Now, if you show forth and you don't speak the language of the boardroom, they will relegate you and you start taking the minutes. You could be the HR director, but they will quickly say, oh, Ken, can you start taking the minutes, for us? Because they don't think that you bring anything of value to the table. And so that's where a lot of HR people have struggled. And when you meet at the boardroom, you are talking about profit and loss. So we're talking figures, we are talking numbers. But HR, in most instances, well, now we're changing. But it used to be the trend that a lot of HR people show up at the table, and the first thing they want to cry about has to do with emotions. At the boardroom, it's not about being emotional. Turn that emotion into your emotional intelligence, where you're trying to speak in a certain manner. There's a language that's acceptable at the boardroom, and that is what every HR needs to learn so you can speak. So instead of coming and saying, we've had the highest attrition, attrition has become like our signature tune. As soon as CEO wants to say something, we want to sing attrition. But instead of coming to the room and saying that there's been the highest attrition, you would rather need to start your conversation from what is the situation, what is the behavioral cause of that, and what is the impact of that. Then now you provide solution. And that is why a lot of them, when they get to the boardroom and the grilling starts, they lose their nerve because they haven't actually sat down for a moment to think it through. Yes, we are losing people, but what does that mean for business? What does that mean for the production line? What does that mean for the long run of the organization? So you just don't show up at the table and say, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, and just over the last month, because of the way things are, we've lost 25 people. So what? We can always employ HR. That's why we brought you. Go and employ new people. That's why you were brought in. Do you get it? But a strategic HR person is the one that can actually be able to deal with their nerves to say, ladies and gentlemen, my critical analysis over the last quarter indicates that we have lost 25 people who were key and strategic people in these various departments, producing, let's say, 25 tons for us every hour. Ladies and gentlemen, let's multiply that by the number of days that we have lost in this month. you have seen that productivity has dipped by 2%. It is as a result of this direct impact of the 25 people that we have lost. Translated into the impact on our revenue, it means that we are losing 500,000 Ghana cedis. People, we need to set up. I need support to fix this. This is what I think we can do. We have some issues of some managers being very poor leaders. Let's train them. Let's coach them. Let's do this. So you're not just presenting problems to us, you are coming along as well with solutions. And that is what everybody else wants. You understand? And so, because sometimes HR people do not sit down to do the full spectrum of how the conversation is going to go, they have this strong case, but then they get there and Charlie, the film just dies out, and they are not able to actually push forward the agenda for which they actually came into the boardroom. And so, mostly it's because we lack the language needed in the boardroom. We are unable to bring the evidence to the table. And then we also struggle with our identity. For the longest of time, HR has been an administrator. So we believe that when we show up at the table, we are not supposed to come there and think. We think other people would think and give us the solution. And so these are the three key things that if every HR can fix it, any board at all can accept you and you can deliver.
Yes. So, talking about confidence, I think one word that is very synonymous to it is courage. And so, I want us to talk about what courage looks like in the everyday life of HR practice. And I want us to go beyond the dramatic moments like firing someone or reporting misconduct. So, what does confidence, what does courage, I should say, look like in everyday HR practice?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Courage for an HR practitioner is being able to stand in the face of anybody that dares to ask questions and taking a stand. Taking a stand. Now you epitomized, a decision point where you're being asked, for example, to fire. I mean, for the longest of time, people felt HR was just hire and fire, hire and fire. I mean, that was it, right? Great.
Yes.
Now, and so when the CEO comes to you and says, fire somebody, and you're like, they're like, but what are you talking about? That's the job for which you were brought, because you are to hire and you're to fire. But you see, for HR people, we will need to show up. Sorry, I had a bit of interruption, so I'm just, yes. So for HR people, it becomes important that you need to understand what the merits of every situation is without being overly emotional. Now, before anybody would want to listen to you, it means that you're able to present facts, present data, and point out possible risk, especially the legal implications. Now, I've had a very classical situation where my board chair, I had just joined an organization, and just about 3, 4 weeks into time, my board chair himself, the chairman of the group, we are 17 organizations put together, had called and said that we needed to fire 5 salespeople. Now, for a typical HR, you would know that that would be chaotic. If you woke up just one day and fired 5 people, all your top performers would want to flee because they will be like, hey, you don't have job security. What's going on here? You start thinking we are being, witch hunted and all of that. You become too careful. You don't know what to do. Now, this is someone when he speaks, everything comes to a grind. Yet I had to think through and ask myself, can I go through with this? Can I just fire these people without even knowing the reasons for which I need to fire them? So I had to find a way to go back to the table and have conversations with them. So I tried to understand the power play. Who can actually help me speak to chairman? And then eventually I found one of the group leads that can actually help me do so. So the plan was to now lobby all other key people that can help with the decision. So I started lobbying and trying to present to them the possible issues we would have at Labor Commission, the impact on the rest of the team without following due process, the legal implications, and even the impact on productivity. Because you see, we may be sending 5 people who may be weaker links of the organization. But the impact of that decision can face off on even our best talents because they'll become demotivated and they will not be able to perform. And so there's a way you go about it, which is to make sure that the one that needs to hear must understand that we need to follow a certain process. But you don't go to the table and make it look like the decision they've taken is wrong. I had to gather facts around these people, do a whole performance review on them. So I had all the figures. And yes, you could see that, yes, the people had not really pulled their weight. But then I also had to look into our contract and say that, look, per the act, we are also expected as employers to equip these people. Have we done the full expanse of equipping them with the skills and tools that they need? We saw a few deficits here and there. That became my bargaining chip. I was like, look, we have a classical case. But before we jump this, I want us to document this whole process. So we're going to put them on PIP for 3 months. We'll give them all the tools, all the support, and everything. If after 3 months, these individuals do not change their fortunes, which would impact the organization, we exit them out of the business beautifully. It was like, oh, you will exit. I say, yes, for as long as they cannot. But me, why should I pay them salary? You see, playing the devil's advocate, playing it but neatly. I'm like, yes, I don't even subscribe to the fact that people can come to work and not deliver. No, 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 not at all, Chairman. And so we're going to do this. We're going to have a session with them, show them all their productivity so far, compare it against the target, and then set them on, and attach coaches to them who give feedback. So it's not us saying it. It is their own coaches that are telling us that these people are not good enough for the job. And at the end, we have a session. Anyone who is not fit enough, Chairman, we'll boot them out. We'll replace them. That went down very well with him. The strategies just worked. And trust me, because we did that, we were able to actually phase out those that simply could not fit into the system. Because sometimes the people can't fit into the system. And then for the others that we could work with, we went ahead, to do so. So courage in the face of adversity by speaking your mind when the need is. Being fair. Now, HR is always torn between the organization and the people. But we forget that the organization itself is a person. The organization is a legal entity. It can sue and be sued. And so HR is there for both the organization and the living beings that are walking the face of the organization. So we need to know how to stand up when need be. HR needs to show up with data. They shouldn't be asking you how many people do we have in this production unit and you start to count your fingers and you're now imagining things. You lose credibility. So what is the courage? That is when people will start shifting you around like, a paper clip. But when HR can stand up and do what is right and have data at the fingertips, it is pretty much easy for HR to stand up and always show up when the need be. And so these are some of the things that HR can actually do. HR understand the business of the business you are into. HR is the one going to do all the interviews and recruiting. You're going to be sitting at that table. Now, why should we choose candidate A over candidate B? If HR doesn't understand that particular job we are recruiting for, any manager can influence the decision of who needs to be selected. And that decision may not be the most competent person. It just would be planting in their own people because you did not take time to understand the technical nature of that job. So they start to, you're like, and they're like, oh no, this person is better. You go like, oh yeah, 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 let's go ahead, let's go ahead. But if HR takes its time to understand the business of the business they are into, HR will be more productive at the table on a daily basis, providing advisory services, support services, and directing the business because that's where HR is now. HR's job now is to help organizations grow. That is our job. And that's something that we need to take, with all our hearts and defend it strongly. And so these are some of the pointers that I would say. And lastly, HR needs to speak finance. A lot of people that are doing HR is simply because we felt that, Charlie, we couldn't do the maths. Some of us, our maths teachers were so terrible. We lost interest in maths by KG or class one or something of the sort. But let me tell you, HR people, the only way you can connote any respect in any room, and I have lived through it, is if you understand the figures that the finance people are presenting and you can query it and you can defend it. Otherwise, this is how a role that is intended for 4 people, you'll be forced to use 2 people. Those 2 people will be fatigued, they'll burn out, and you would have issues all the time. And so, HR, understand the finance of the business so you can speak the language they speak and defend it all the time.
In your submission, you mentioned playing the devil's advocate. I think people say that one of the most visible characteristics of a good working HR professional in any organization is one who is disliked both by management and the employees. Yes, so they are saying you work for the business, like you mentioned, not for the management or the employees. And so I want you to clarify this for us. How do HR leaders develop the clarity of thought when they are caught between conflicting interests of both the management and the employees?
Thank you very much, Kelvin. And yes, just quite recently at a CIHRM conference, we had to discuss why people hate HR. I mean, why do they hate us so much? And it's some of the things that came through was because we are always caught in between, the human and then the organization. And management feels that all you are doing is defending the employees, even when they've done wrong. You're like, oh no, this one is just warning letter. You cannot dismiss them, or you come back and you're like, we have to increase salaries. All you know is spend, 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 and all of that. Yet when you go to your own people, the ones you are being accused of, defending and shielding, they're like, hey, you're just, agreeing to everything CEO is saying, and you're in bed with them, and they've even given you some cuts. And even if the company changed your vehicles, didn't we say it? There we go. They've bribed HR, and all of that. It is not a very easy place to find oneself. However, I think for me, the substance is that HR, you didn't go to work to be liked. It's the hardest truth, but we need to get it into our heads. We are not occupying our positions because we want to be liked. If you want to be liked, go and be a pastor. Even they fight demons every day of their life. So they don't exactly have a chill day like that. So you are always going to be having the opportunity to bring forth the kind of HR you are. The kind of HR you are. And that is what is going to help you win this race. When management sees its HR as being someone who comes to the table with facts, it changes how they view you and think about you when you speak up. So data is very essential for you when trying to win the war in management quarters. Being able to say no when you know that the decision is not necessarily going to work for the organization, but having the intelligence to present it in the way business wants to hear it, which is to say that you tell business that this decision we want to take, the risk on the long term of this business is that in the next 6 months, we are going to lose $1 million because of this single decision, and point it out clearly. So you're simply going to use the situation, behavioral, and impact was modeled all the time to answer these questions when it is at that top level. You must make your voice known at the table where the decision is being taken. A lot of people, and this is not even exclusive to HR, they go to the room, they will sit down, they will say nothing, a decision will be taken. In their hearts, they are kicking against it, yet they will not speak up. The decision is asked to be rolled out. Then they come to the shop floor and say, they said we should come and tell you that we have to do this. They who? Do you get it? They who? Because what then happens is that it's just a matter of time. Even employees stop believing you. Because they'll see you laughing with the CEO, all right. Yet when you came, you told us that it was a CEO and co who said that this decision should be rolled out. HR must own that space. Speak up if you disagree with a certain mode that is, being told. Share your thoughts regarding why that will not work. Give input so that it can sway people. Because as we said, HR leadership is about influencing people. Influencing people. So if you lack influence at that end, you can't come back and hope that anybody will like you. Your job is not to like. Your job is to make sure that the organization can grow with the right people The organization can be profitable so that you too, your life can be better. The organization can become a place that people want to work at. The organizations in this country and beyond that, as soon as you mention their names, Calvin, today, if I gave you their offer letter, you'll be running there. In fact, one of my friends, Emmeline, we were sharing a joke a while ago, and one of our mentees said that if they gave him a letter, even as a cleaner at NASA, he's gone. He said he will just leave. He's not going to wait for anybody to say anything. These organizations have built certain credibilities that attracts people. That is our job. That is why we've been brought on board. So if we want people to like us, if you want management to like you want the people to like you, must be seen to be very equitable. You must speak up. You must stand for that which is true by making sure that you understand what is true, devoid of emotions. Devoid of emotions. And you must make sure that every time you have the opportunity, you navigate the organization towards the right purpose and growth. So those are some of the submissions that I'll give you regarding your question.
Very well. Thank you very much. So to the next, let's talk about certifications, HR certifications specifically. Am I right to say that certification equals competence? Is it a right statement?
Well, I'll absolutely say no. Certification is not equal to competence. And as we said earlier, competence has to do a lot more with your ability to show forth results, your ability to impact, and your ability to just make sure that you can actually be looked at and be referred to as someone with substance that we want to deal with. Now, certification is a reward for completing a model of study. It helps you gain knowledge, yes, but you and I know very well that there are things we were taught in science that we honestly don't remember because we have no use for it. They showed us test tubes and osmosis and a whole lot of things. And some of them, look, if you ask me to define them, I can define them, but honestly, they don't do anything in what, like, I don't use it for anything, for example. Now, you can amass certificates, but when we bring you forth to get the job done, you may be clueless because getting the job done takes a certain skill, a repetitive acumen that you may have gained over the period. And that is why skills knowledge is nothing compared to just tacit knowledge. So yes, you've been taught that in crafting policies, so for example, they say that, yeah, this is a policy where, let's say, work from home policy, for example. So as an HR, yes, you know how to craft policy. So you sit down and then you start to do the policy. Yeah, oh yes, this is it. So, but you need to ask a lot of questions before you can do the policy. And that can only come from competence. Do you understand the business you are in to be able to craft the policy that can actually answer to it? For example, Kelvin, in COVID, some organizations could work remotely, others simply could not. And it's not because they were ineffective, it's because the competence needed to work from that space was simply not possible. Sometimes it's not even competence, sometimes it's even just the situation you have. It may not even permit you to do that. You understand? And so we would always have to come back. Yes, we have 15 people in this office, but we are not seeing any results and all. Yeah, they have the certificate, but they probably don't have what it takes to make things happen. They are not innovators. They haven't gone through the grill, so they don't know what to do. You can't just craft anything and say, oh, this is a policy everybody must follow. No, you need to live it out in such a way that it forms and flows into the everyday life of the business such that it is practical, that it can work. But in school, they gave you the framework. So this is how you carried it, bum, and came to put it. It won't work. Manufacturing is different from services, even service, different service providers have different needs. And so competence is what would help you look at the situation, analyze it critically, and provide a solution that actually works. And you are able to solve problems because Competency gives you that leverage. Competency comes from repeated activities and learning from mistakes and fine-tuning it until you're like, this is it. We've gotten it through. A lot of the big people that have done great things in the world, Kelvin, they didn't have any certificates. By the time they were accomplishers, they didn't have certificates. So certification and competence are two different things. And I'll leave it on this point where we have the very common thing we say here in Ghana. Kevin, you know that the number of engineers and what have you, KNUST and co have churned in this country. I mean, how many cars and things are you seeing around here and all of that, So you can have the certificate, but your competence can only come from the repeated things that you have done that have generated results, that have solved problems. And so that's the clear distinction between having a certificate and being competent to deliver the job.
If you have just joined us, this is the SEDAT HR Digest brought to you by SEDAT Kosol Limited. I am here with Madam Cynthia Kudowo discussing HR leadership confidence, specifically how to build the courage, clarity, and competence to lead. Again, if you have just joined us, I see you watching us, but kindly let us know your name and your location from which you are watching us from. I see Mohammed Bushran from WA. Hello, Mohammed. Welcome. Yes. So returning to the conversation, Madam, we just talked about competence.
Yep.
As experienced as you are, what are some of the competence gaps you see in HR practice?
Thank you very much, Kelvin. As for the gaps, that there are so many, but the good thing is that HR is rising up to the task every day by actively learning to show forth. Now, some of the classical gaps that we've had so far in organization, as I mentioned a while ago, has been the language gap. Language gap when it comes to business. For the very longest of time, our focus had really been around issuing employment letters, making sure that policies are in place, following through and checking attendance and all of that. But today, the call on us is different. The call on us is to be business partners who can influence what is happening at the highest level. It means that we need to fix the gap between being the proverbial administrator to becoming the strategic partner of the business. Now, being a strategic partner of the business means something. It means that we need to understand everything that goes on as far as business process is concerned. We need to understand what the values of the business are regarding translating those into financial ends. At the end of the game, it is the money the business is looking for. That is the baseline for business. And so, for as long as we don't fix the gap between how we perceive things as HR people in the organization, we would always be at that crossroad with the people that matter. HR must transition from looking at qualitative things only to quantitative analysis. We also see some gaps as far as catching up with trends is concerned, especially in our part of the world. In Africa, where we're still trying to raise up and catch up, with other parts of the world, we seem to have some policies that are really not as fresh as they ought to be if you look at global trends at the moment. And so these are some of the gaps that HR needs to learn. We need to learn to fix the AI gaps, because a lot of our colleagues, when you ask them, for example, to use HR analytics to solve problems, it's quite a heavy blow to them. But HR needs to be able to fix that gap. We need to be able to fix that gap. HR itself needs to solve its identity crisis problem. Identity crisis problem. In some organizations, you see that HR wants to be responsible for even things that line managers are supposed to be managing. There are things that we are to support line managers by grooming them so they can manage it. Yet, we still want to be in that space to do it. And I think it stemmed from we at a certain point in time not having too much to do. But today, as a strategic leader, your plate is too full to go and be managing certain minute things. Those ones, you leave it to the supervisors to do. Yours is to equip the supervisor, train the supervisor well enough so they can handle those ones. And then you can focus on the bigger picture. HR needs to learn presence. There's a big gap. A lot of times when you take HR people, if you put a group of engineers together, you put a group of accountants together, you put a group of HR people together, at any given point in time, you can tell the difference. The engineer, even when they have not fully comprehended a solution to the problem, they start to give scenarios. So in scenario A, we can, and they are thinking whilst they are trying to give you the answer. But for us, we would rather keep quiet in those spaces because we want to go back and go and think about it. HR, you would have missed the opportunity to influence a major decision. That is not to say that speak out of tune. And that is why from the very beginning, I said that you need to feel yourself. Competence is substance. So it means that HR, we must always be researching, being abreast with current trends, engaging with other people so we learn best practices from there, so that when the time comes, we can actually rise up to the task. Go to the room full of confidence, full of knowledge, and speak up. HR people hardly speak up. We need them to just do the right thing by speaking up. It is very important.
So on the 30th and 31st of July, uh, SEDAT Consult in partnership with HR Network Africa and SHRP is organizing the HR Connect conference. In your perspective, how do you think platforms like these help HR professionals build the leadership confidence we are talking about today? And in your submission, kindly tell us the background of HR Network Africa and your role as a founder.
Okay, right. Thank you so much. So maybe I'll start from your very last and then build to the other end. So yes, as Kelvin rightly said, my name is Cynthia Maulawe Kudu. I know you're struggling with my middle name. Yes, it's difficult. And I am the founder and executive director of HR Network Africa. And what's the background? It's quite a long story. I'm sure he needs another session for us to talk about how this all happened. But a long while ago, as a young professional, I had done banking for almost 10 years. And I hadn't practiced, HR full stream in the bank. I was working more in corporate services, in credit, in operations, and different spaces of the bank. But I had the opportunity and took a course in HR by accident, but that's for another day. And when I started HR, when I moved to the organization that gave me the opportunity to come work with them, a very huge organization, I didn't necessarily have everything, but I had managed so many teams, and they were confident that because I had learned HR and I had been managing people, I could do it. But before I got to my office, ladies and gentlemen, I had piles of files waiting for me. Summons from the labor commissioner. I didn't know her, she didn't know me, but already she had love letters waiting for me, and I needed to go and defend it. And that actually started my journey. And it was a tough moment, but it did prepare me very well. It helped me learn. And that is what one thing I'll tell HR people: every opportunity you get, don't say, I can't do it. Take up the task, keep learning, keep pushing and accelerating. Now, when I saw how difficult it was to learn and how expensive it was, eventually, when I took a course with Dr. Jeff Bassi, he's been quite an influence on my path. I finally, I don't want to go into all the details, but I finally had the opportunity to say, you know what if I could put together all top minds who can influence young people, influence middle people, and even influence, top accomplished people by sharing thoughts, sharing best practices, and we being able to influence the profession so we can elevate it like the same way ACCA has its clout and all of that. Won't that be great? And that's what started. That's what birthed HR Network Africa. From my pains, I decided to create a space where people could learn, people could pick up speed and move forward. And so that's how HR Network started. Now, as a platform, we've been around for a good while. We do a lot of things. I don't want to go too much into the details, but we are working actively on campuses. We call it HR Campus Connect. So we have partners like Ho Technical University, University of Ghana, and KNUST, where we try to train the students before they come out and become headache to HR, because we interview them and we get tired. So we want to solve the problem right from there. We do a lot of social activities as well. We call it NSET. We look for communities, we impact them and try to support the best way we can. We do our HR bar, so we do a lot of works in that regard. But let's come to the conference, which is our flagship product. It is a HR Connect conference. And this year, we're not doing this all by ourselves. You know, there's an adage that says that if you want to go very far, then don't go alone, go with other people. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're holding hands together because it's tough when you want to put these events together. And I have been blessed over the years with the sisterhood of Patricia, the CEO of SEDAT, and then Woyome, who is also the founder of SHRP. And as triplets, we've decided to do this, take this journey. I am ably anchored by Emmeline and my directors and all of that. And this year, we wanted to address a very, very important topic, which had to do with certification and competence. The only way we can get CEOs to respect us will be if we can show value at the table. We've done some salary survey. In fact, the first salary survey was done by us, and SEDAT has also done it. We've done the first, we've done the second with KPMG Global, CIHRM, and M Data. And the disparity is overwhelming. The disparity is really overwhelming. However, we realized that when we interacted with the CEOs, it was more to do with what we bring to the table. And so we want to address having a talk show. Please, if you are someone who likes talks, we're not having a talk show. We're having a practical, solution-oriented conference. And that is what we're saying is not an event. This is not an event. This is supposed to model the new policy direction. From the first survey, the results were shared with government, and that influenced the minimum wage that they actually did set. And so when we do things, we don't want to just do them. We want it to influence policy. And that is exactly what we are doing this time around. We want to be able to say that if Kelvin has A, B, C, and D certificates and has A, B, C, and D substance, he should warrant a certain amount of money. Kelvin shouldn't be working for free. So we're having a conversation come 30th and 31st. We're digging in right in with one of the top minds, Dr. Selejeni Mboate, who is going to be there. If you've been in HR long enough, you know she's a power gun. We're going to be having Margaret Jackson there lead us into a roundtable mentorship session. It's going to be deep. If you've experienced Her Royal Highness before, then you don't want to miss this opportunity. We are going to be having some very strategic people as well. We have friends from Sierra Leone, so one of the very top CEOs, an HR person that has risen through the ranks and is now a CEO, Aminata Kamara, is going to be speaking to us as well. We're going to be having some dignitaries come through. We're having serious conversations. Listen, you've been wanting to ask so many questions to your CEOs. You either don't have the vim to ask it or the space has been right. We are creating the room for you to do that. So we are having the CEOs fireside chat. So it's a panel conversation, all right. We're going to be asking them what it is they expect from us. Why do you not want to pay me as much as you want to pay the engineer or want to pay the accountant? We want to ask them those questions and let them tell us exactly what it is they want. So that with that kind of information, we start to fix the problem. So when we come to the table, you can no longer use that as a bargaining chip to reduce our salary. We won't take it because you told us that was the solution. So we've done the solution. You can no longer say no to us. We're going to be having very top CEOs sit at this. We're having Ivy Owusu from Cyrus Oil. We're having Joe Jackson from Dalex Finance. We're having Isaac Kwakwa come through. We're having Gabriel Apia, the biggest agency when you talk about marketing and branding and all of that. Their CEO is going to be right there in the room with us. We're having some of our top HR people as well. The HR of Access Bank is going to be there. The HR of MTN, the HR of BTL is going to be there. We have a power pack gun. If you've seen the list that we've been sharing, then you know that you need to be in that conversation. And then guess what? Right from that fireside chat, we're digging straight into a C-suite conversation where we want the CEOs to share with us what it took for them to get to where they are today. And so we're going to be having deep conversations. Every single question. We are calling it the unfiltered conversation. It means that you get to ask any question and they have no choice but to answer you. So we're going to be having that moment and we're going to be having some battle talks as well. So come prepared because a question is going to be thrown. You will take a side. You must defend that side. We are teaching presence right from there, right from that room. We want to build your presence. Then we go back all the way to day 2. And what are we going to do? I told you we are not doing a talk shop. So we don't just want to hear all the things they are saying and that's it. No, I want you to go back to your office. Patricia wants you to go back to your office. Emmanuel wants you to go back to your office with practical inputs. So our master classes have been crafted such that they are opening you into the solution space. So you have Kojo Van Ness. If you've ever been to SEDAT compensation training, then you know the substance we are talking about. The competence we are preaching to you is right there. So Kojo is going to be leading the conversation on compensation. Dr. Stella, oh my goodness, please, if you don't know about Dr. Stella, please go and Google her. She's the most awarded HR in the entire continent now. So go and read about her. She's going to be leading her charge. Now, Kelvin did ask me a question a while ago, which is that why do we lose our nerve when we get to the boardroom? It is a very, 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 very valid question, and that is what we want to solve. So Renee Q. Boatin is going to teach you how to bring presence to the room as an HR person because we lack it. We lack it. We are not able to show ourselves forth. So we're going to have that come through as well. We have our sweethearts coming all the way from California, the topmost forensics psychological expert. She's going to be working with us on psychological safety. How do we provide safety for HR, not the organization? This time we are talking about you, the HR. We want to solve your problem. So Cheryl Arut is going to be dealing with that situation. Then, of course, we want to do all of this job, and at the end of the day, Charlie, me, I want to chill in Bahamas. That's the whole plan. And so Joe Jackson is going to come through and teach us how to actually look at our finances, our investments, and all of those ways. So he's going to teach us everything that we need. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are doing are practical, situational answers. So please be assured that an investment into your life, into what you're doing today, is the only thing you would carry with you. So make that investment. I know someone has called me and said, but I have other things to do. Girl, invest in yourself. The company is not paying, invest in yourself because you will not forever be in that company, except you want to retire with that company. So invest in yourself so that you can get the next level to push yourself forward. So Kelvin, those are some of the things that I'll share with our listeners. They need to invest in this conference. It's a 2-day power-packed conference. Come and see Patricia herself moderate the panel. You would have all the people giving us the certificate. They need to justify why they are giving us all these CIPD, SHRM, and all of those things they are coming up every day. So they will be there. Patricia is going to be speaking to them. So Kelvin, encourage your people. They need to be in this conversation.
If you heard Madam Cynthia, it's a very packed 2-day event. You do not want to miss it if you can afford to be there. Please register. It's on the 30th and 31st of July at the Labadi Beach Hotel. A 2-day event. Yes. Considering what you are going to get from it compared to the fee being charged, I think it's a bargain, a huge one for that matter. Yeah. So yes, so kindly register.
Yeah. Just let me quickly mention that the fee is 2,000 Ghana cedis. For groups of 5, you get to pay 1,950 per person. For groups of 10 and beyond, you get to pay 1,900 cedis per person. Okay. It's 2 days, as we mentioned, at Labadi Beach Hotel.
Excellent. So, Madam Cynthia, as a final word for HR professionals beginning their role, early career professionals, what steps do you advise they take to build their leadership confidence right from the start?
Thank you very much, Kelvin. And I'm excited about this question because it reminds me of how far I have come myself, as a young practitioner. I started off in different places and then in the bank and all of that. But typically, when I was in the bank, one of the things that I think worked for me and can work for someone listening to me today is not looking for titles, but just craving to learn, craving to learn. So I used to go to different department managers and I would speak to them and say, look, can I please come and learn something from here? And sometimes they're like, how would you juggle it? I'm like, I can come early in the morning, go to my department, come in the afternoon, show up, show up in spaces, try and build yourself up. AI has given us a lot of leverage, and so you could think that you have everything at your disposal, but you don't have experience at your disposal. Experience cannot be taught by AI. And so you need to still be very humble to learn from all those OGs that you are seeing in your office. They call it MBA, Meba Hatchet, that kind of thing. Still be humble enough, learn and teach them some of the things that you think can make them shine. Don't look down on any of your OGs because the experience they have, you cannot get. They can buy your AI knowledge, it's available, but you cannot buy their experience. And so I would ask you to target people in various spaces and let them mentor you. Mentoring is very essential for your growth because you would avoid all the pitfalls that these individuals have already fallen in, learned lessons, and now are going. It means that you get to accelerate beyond them. So be humble, look for mentors. Please, mentorship is not an idol kind of thing. So you're not looking for the idol figure. No. Look for someone that can impact. And there are different segments of mentorship. In a different time, I'm sure we would have the opportunity to discuss all of that. Some of them will open doors for you. Your mentor of sponsorship, they open doors for you. So align. Sometimes you would find someone and you think they are very successful. Offer services, offer service. I have a young man and he writes beautifully now only because in the early parts of he used to ask, can I write your script for you? Can I write this for you? And they were not really great. But today, when he writes, oh my goodness, I salute. Do you get it? So take those opportunities, impact those people. There's something my manager left me with, and I have never forgotten. He says that, Cindy, if you can learn to shine my shoe, when I'm in the room that matters and I look down on my shoe while they are asking me for the next promotion, and I'm thinking, the only face that I would remember is yours because you shined that shoe. So I would remember who did that job. We are not bootlicking, but we're shining shoes. It means that you're providing solutions to your manager. Your manager has a deadline, doesn't seem to know what to do. You do the analysis, you do the analytics, and you walk the person through. I think when we presented this, they value you. They might not even say it to your face. You are growing. You're also leaving an impression that counts. Attend events such as the conference we are about to have so you can glean understanding, learn, and also connect. There are some relationships that we formed that have today yielded beautiful returns for us. Kelvin's association with Sedat is the reason why he's speaking to me today. My association with Patricia is the reason why I get the opportunity to sit on this screen today talking to you all. So build relationships, build networks, learn, be humble, learn from anybody and everybody, and also open your mind to different things. Don't just say because I'm in HR, I'm just focusing on HR, because HR is just a fraction of the business. Focus on learning about every aspect of the business. So by all means, move yourself around, go from one place to the other, learn from people, and start to give. Also give, give. And please, at every given point in time, ask yourself, what value are you bringing to the table? Every day when you close your day, sit back and ask yourself, what was I able to do anything unique for anybody? Did I impact anybody's life? Did I bring something to the table? Did I answer every question in that room? Did I goof? Because mistakes are also part of our growth. So don't shy away from mistakes. Let it nurture you, let it form you. And then at the end, just seek help when you need it. So join platforms. It's a good thing you are here at Said that. Join HR Network, join SHRP, join all other platforms that can pouring into you so that you can learn enough have substance, so that this competence we are talking about, you feel it, you carry it. And when we are looking for competence, we can point to you and say, if competence was a human being, he is Kelvin walking right there. So those are some of the words I'll leave with you. And don't give up. Don't ever give up. Keep pushing, keep impact, and simply keep being your best self. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Cynthia. Uh, Competence is substance. This is what I am taken from today's session. Competence is substance. I am sure you who watch this also have yours. And so I'll acknowledge a few people who mentioned their names and their location. So we have Madam Jifa from Kumasi and Madam Caroline from One. She says great insights, Madam Cynthia. Yes.
Thank you.
And so if you have just joined us, all too soon, you have come to the end of yet another session. You have not lost. No, right after the session, you find the video on our YouTube channel. You can watch it as many times as you want. Madam Cynthia Mawulawe Kodowu talked a lot and was very packed in her submissions. And so I would advise you to watch it as many times as you can. There's a lot to learn from this session. Yes. So thank you again, Madam Cynthia.
Thank you very much.
So, as I said, today we discussed HR leadership confidence, specifically how to build the courage, clarity, and competence to lead. Yes. So once again, this is Sedat Consult Limited, your trusted HR partner. We bring to you the HR Digest every Sunday live at 4 p.m. Kindly join us next Sunday at 4 p.m. on your screens. And once again, we'll bring to you an insightful conversation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next week.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you.
Hello, my Sedat family in Accra. Most of you are asking me, when are you holding a conference in Accra? Well, we are organizing the HR Connect conference in Accra this year, together with HR Network Africa and SHRP. So if you live in Accra or close to Accra and have been meaning to attend any of our conferences, this is your opportunity. You may have attended one conference or even two this year and are wondering, it's not the same conference. Why should I attend another conference? Well, this is not just any conference. It is a 2-day buffet of learning, networking, practical insights and tools that you can go back to your organization and start implementing immediately. We have the keynote insights, the master classes, the CEO fireside chat, the CEO conversations, HR battle pitch, C-suite connect. What excites me the most is the CEO conversations, because we get to hear from the CEOs what we need to do as HR practitioners to actually earn a seat at the table. So my dear, this conference is for you. Join us at the Labadi Beach Hotel from the 30th to the 31st of July 2026, 9 a.m. each day. The focus for this year's conference is from certification to competence. Use the details displayed on the screen to register today. I hope to see you there.